we're going to head into this one. Vertigo between Gambit and Complexity. It can't be a flop show or else you're going to be in for a hard time, all right? Here we go. Gambit, T-side start. The defense getting erected by Complexity. It's stiff. And here's Grim with the boost. Going to find the opener onto Nafany. Little combat boost thrown in to open up the pistol. It's ballsy. I like it. Here we go, Hobbit, the guy who uprooted many a round in the previous map, this time brought to his knees, and Grim, this is much cleaner, much nicer out of the guy to open up this one. Just Axar left, and this CT pistol round looking good. Surely this isn't where you can continue these impressive clutches. They will get shut out, and that's Complexity finding themselves a little pistol round there.
You can see that JT there at the end was just trying to be a little bit of a nuisance. Just going to remind the viewers, if anybody's just tuning in, JT is playing from the Complexity, just their offices, which are in Texas. And of course, this game on the servers that it is being conducted on is in Europe. So he is playing with a huge disadvantage, and that Gambit are up 1-0. Not that I'm giving Complexity any excuses in this game. Everybody has shown up in full force. After the player break, people are feeling fresh, they're feeling fly. You know that a couple Gambit players are feeling great about themselves as they have punched their name into CS history, reaching the top 20. But Floppy, wow, he's already pushed down B, takes down Axile. That leads to a lot of confusion for Gambit. Fang, he wants to get in on the action, pushes on forward, and we can see that every member from Complexity is beginning to chime in here. Nafany, he's sneaking on forward. Grim, that's that snappy aim that we love to see from him. Takes down Naf. And we've got just two members remaining. I think they want to hunt this.
Yeah, I mean, so you touched upon guys you want to see more out of here for Complexity. I do think this is where we're going to get a lot more from Grim, right? He'd never played Ancient, so I think it makes sense that he was in for a bit of a rough time there, right? Looking at Vertigo, this used to be more of a liquid classic. It used to be one that we see them pick into out in NA fairly regularly. So he's going to have a lot more of a kind of foundation here to build from, you'd imagine. And I also look at it and I say 5-0 start. That's nice from him. Already approaching this with a much bigger degree of confidence out of what we saw, comparing it to like his A main hold over on Ancient.
Yeah, it does feel like what we saw from him there. That's a great point. Liquid just banned out Ancient every time they played it. So that's a fun stat for you guys right there. That was Grim's first official map?
Yeah, I just went and looked at it, and yeah.
Yeah, that's his first official ever, so already seeing a better look for him, but Floppy, bites off a little more than he can chew. Taken down by Inters. Now Grim, he has to recover the situation, something that he was frequently tasked with on Liquid. But Gambit peel on off. Even though that they're playing with just a couple upgraded pistols, they're trying to make this as difficult for Complexity as they possibly can. At the bare minimum, they've already taken a gun away. And if they can find any more, they'd be ecstatic about the possibilities.
Yeah, Junior's watching for this mid run-up. I also want to say, obviously, he came from Furia. This was a really good map for them, one that we always see them pick into. You have a nice bit of experience here for Vertigo and a lot of clashing and meshing ideas, right? So you're not going to be short of thoughts and whether or not you can convert them to actions. We'll have to wait and see, but this is a nice start. Axal all alone at the bottom of B ramp, and with JT and Grim waiting for him. He's not going to have a welcome party rolled out for him on this B play, is he? Also, definitely doesn't want to survive, does need to die before the time runs out. And so Grim should show him a bit of mercy here, and there we go. 3 for Junior in that round, and Complexity onto a third.
I've been really liking Junior's rifle so far in this series. Even though he hasn't been incredibly impactful, I mean, he's not totally popping off as you'd hope that a primary opera does. His rifle work's been pretty clean, all things considered. But he will equip that AWP here, and this is exactly what I was trying to preface in the pregame a little bit, that Junior, he needs to show some form with this op. He needs to show that he can take lives with it.
Didn't have the spawn, which is a bit of a shame, but not deterred him from going for this aggro. Fang as well alongside him, pushing all the way down. They want to comes to ramp progression. No one quite knows it like Gambit, so they should keep their wits about them here. And they do try to clear out Fang. Try being the operative word, though, as him and JT open the round up. Axar's B lurking. Keeps options open at the very, very least, right? Getting rid of Grim there, and oh my god, Hobbit, how have you found this little gap? Oh, a floppy wrestling with the M4. Let's get it back under control. Another lurk out through middle, playing it contacted. Inters might be screwed here. Catching them with nades out seems to be a bit of a reoccurring theme. It feels like Complexity are always willing to fight you way sooner than Gambit are expecting.
These were some really comfortable rotations from Complexity. They were catching everybody from Gambit off. No one was caught unaware on the side of Complexity. That is pretty tough to do when Gambit can be kind of as sneaky as they are. They really just love sometimes taking those dry lurk fights, and Floppy takes down Axile. In fact, I'd say that Gambit are probably one of the teams that sort of pioneered the meta that we're in right now. That's very just a lot of people willing to take fights across the map simultaneously. Axile and Hobbit, both usually extremity players that are sometimes fighting simultaneously in rounds on both sides of the map. So that's something that is something you can keep your eye out for, and it's something that it looks like Complexity are ready for. They're actually catching those sorts of lurk rotations, and for players like Floppy and for players like Junior to catch them in transition, I mean, that's a great sign if you're an NA fan.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I think already, like, the attention this is garnering, I don't know about you, right? But, like, NACS, it's no secret, it went through a pretty bad time as of late. But slowly but surely, as these roster announcements are coming out, right, like Complexity buying out this team, looking like it's a pretty good investment from the eye test. You know, with Liquid revamping rosters, with EG coming out with like the Stewie announcement just the other day that he's moved over, it feels like NA could be on its way to healing. What's your thoughts on that, Maui?
I think there's some legs. I think there is
some. It's some rare positive signs, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's coming back. It's coming back. I mean, you know, the other game really did a number on the NA space. A lot of people moved over, but we have players like Floppy right there who have moved on back. We've got Nitro moving on back. We've got a couple people in the space that are saying, you know what? Counter-Strike is my home, and I'm returning home. I'm coming back, boys. And that's just a great sign for anyone that's really a fan of this game. I mean, it's cool and all that some of those players moved over and they found their new passion. They're succeeding with it. Yeah. But at the same time, Counter-Strike has always been in the lifeblood of any FPS fans. I mean, it's something that everybody wants to see NA be competitive with because it's such a huge market. Right. And there's so many people, so many fans. And by looking at some of those giant majors that happen in North America, Columbus, Boston, Atlanta, I mean, those arenas were filled and the energy was electric. Don't want to leave those fans out.
Yeah, man. I mean, dude, that's a lovely little love letter to NACS from Maui Snake. Oh, I'm with you every step of the way, bro. I found myself becoming a bigger NA fan by the day. And, well, Gambit, they're the ones trying to upset me right now. Walking up through a ramp. They've gone through the smoke already. This is a nice pop flash setup for Fang to go swinging. And if he gets out, that's mad, bro. Dinked on the initial peak. Everyone else cowers in. They don't want to trade. They're wrecked by the flashbang. And you only really know about the guy who threw the flash and Fang at that point. For all you know, could have been a three-man challenge at top ramp. They're pretty measured in how they approach it. And it's left them looking worse for wear. Molly used to clear the sandbags. No one playing here for Complexity. Instead, pretty passive back in the site. There's not the utility to go for that standard smoke wall exec, and so Gambit slowing down, just hoping that Complexity overstep, and I don't think they're going to.
Yeah, it does look like Complexity want to play almost a retake setup on this. If they can get one, they'd love it, but they will be giving up the site to Gambit at this point. Molly disturbs the potential plant. Inters takes down JT. Another Molly sails on in. And once again, Gambit will have to wait. They could plant on the other side of the bomb site, but that bomb is on the short side, so he has to cross right now. And I don't actually think Gambit have any more utility. This is going to be a tough cross for Inters, but he is a lot of the space.
Yeah, he just runs on in, mate, and Junior gives him the respect. There's nothing worse than not taking fights only to get spammed down low like happens there. And that has forced a save out of Complexity. Yeah, you know, very respectful of that A play. Gambit, you touched upon it. No util. They expended all of it trying to get that initial cross when the molly upsetted the entire round for them. You know, I didn't think I'd be saying this after the complexity game that we just saw on Ancient, but I would have loved just even a little more swinging there, right? The bomb was trapped out on short. Admittedly, not information they had, but there's no way you're going to get that info if no one's peeking on the back of it.
That's one where they're probably even surprised. Complexity, that is, by how much their own utility did to disturb Gambit from how much it prevented that plant. And when they look back at the demo on this round, they're going to think that, oh, maybe we could have gone for another dry swing right there. Maybe we could have tested it with one of our flashes. But yeah, that's Gambit getting a little bit fortunate. Even though they lost the opening pick, they just continued on with their plan for the whole round, which was to creep up ramp, go for the A exec, and by the end of things, they probably feel like they were sort of gifted the bomb site. But Complexity, they still have a lot to fight with here, and this is a great chance for them to do so.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had an AWP in Shiro's hands just yet. Not going to change anytime soon, but Junior's now brought his back into the fray. He's over in middle right now, but leaving this ramp hold to the rifles. They're always playing a buddy system around JT. And hell, I mean, dude, ping don't affect smoke spam. He's going to have just as fine a time here fighting as ramp at anyone else's. Words are hard. Here's Fang tucked in, playing a spot I call Kirby. You know, as a homage to a retired face of Counter-Strike. Fang is getting crept on. Is getting pushed. And that tag in the molly is actually pretty nice for him. Lets him get the info that a player's creeping close. He's ready for that fight. And so Gambit, they do get ramp control. They trade it evenly. Compared to last round, this is a better spot to be in. They've got full utility. They've got the real estate. Now the question becomes, well, what do they look to do with it? Is this nothing more than a bit of a grandiose fake?
They're using a little bit of utility to poke and prod, but it does look like it is a ruse. And that has already pulled some of the Complexity players over towards A. Ooh, Hobbit, he gives up his life on that lurk already, and doesn't look like Complexity know that the jig is up just yet. Molly sails in towards the B site. Floppy is going to be the lone defender here on construction. Dodges the flash, swings out wide, but Inters takes him down. That's a big duel to win for Inters, because now it gives them the entire bomb site. Bomb will be planted, and Fang, yeah, he's thinking about it, but he knows that would be a death sentence to march on through.
Yeah, Junior's got these flashes ready to head in over the top, and that's when Complexity are hoping to make this play happen. The flash, you know, just skirts on by Inters. He's able to take one more to the grave with him. Shiro back at the site, is all alone. Axel might need to draw some attention in here. Instead, Shiro fires off first, and Shiro will go on to find them both. That's pretty gnarly out of Shiro. Doesn't even need support from Axel, even though he tries to give it. And, dude, it's a bit of an oddity. I felt like the rifling out of both AWP players actually looked really good.
Yeah, you can't count out Shiro with a rifle whatsoever. I mean, he's had a lot of great moments in the last year with the rifles. Definitely not his primary weapon of choice, but delivers the goods right there. That was just an awkward post plan. I don't think Complexity expected Shiro to be peeking on the left side right there. That's usually an angle you don't want to take because it gives up a bad fight. But if you know the situation a little bit better, if you know the context, sometimes a bad fight becomes a really good fight, and it set up a first contact that Complexity, you could tell, just haven't really dealt with before.
Gambit are also like very patient with how they play around these smokes at bottom ramp, right? It was Big who originally popularized what I've always referred to as like the corridor smoke, right? That little deeper one that trickles in and then you push up behind it. Nafany obviously as well has like his signature short smoke lineup that he throws to get that little one-way. But thus far, they've been pretty respectful of it. And I wonder if that's because they know that these pushes are likely to come through, right? We always have guys like Fang creeping down ramp, playing this corner, playing this short angle. Gambit, are they going to try and use this against Complexity now? Nafany dead right away. And honestly, 1-for-1 there. Could be a damn sight worse.
These have usually been favoring Gambit, though. They've had quite a few 4v4s at this point. The slow A approach has netted them this situation multiple times now, and they're frequently converting, or at least twice in a row now. So, Hobbit stays up close by the crane. And Gambit with 25 seconds remaining, they still have enough utility for a bit of a side exec, but one side will be open, and that's where Complexity may have a window of opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, just the standard smoke wall can be so punishing. They actually only have one this time around. It's gone in towards Elevator. That's not going to lock Junior out, and with Grim on standby, waiting it short, it ends up looking real clean for Complexity. Yeah, it always gets a bit awkward. If you're able to manipulate some of this util out of Gambit, or really any Vertigo team, like if you're forcing an A play with only one smoke, it can feel so punishing, right, as a T player. That smoke wall, incredibly strong. There's no denying it. The fights essentially come down to spam. Yeah, there's the boost you can look to employ over towards the back of the site, but that's really like the only angle you're too worried about in that type of play. The fact that Cole have been getting this util out of Gambit is proven to be massive. And yeah, I was going to say, I wonder if they keep respecting the ramp smoke. The answer is going to be a resounding no. Grim still makes a pretty good deal out of that situation though, right? Getting ran down by 4 Gambit players, going 1 for 2. And finally, you've actually denied this like early ramp aggression in even odds. You've taken an advantage. Gambit might have to respect you a little more now.
It's not a situation that Gambit have really experienced in this one. 4 versus 3 advantage for Complexity. Junior is getting a little bit curious, and that might be his undoing if he takes a poor angle or has a poor timing on this peak. Nice Molotov to protect him, though. Yeah, Gambit right now, they're just waiting for a mistake. They're looking to see if someone from Complexity will just get a little bit overzealous. And it does look like they might be giving up their hand at this point. Smoke's out. They still have a couple more. It's actually just going to bait out some utility. It looks like they're going to go for a re-exec of sorts. They still have a left side, right side smoke available for themselves. Flashes as well. But there's already 3 people here. And Fang, nice shots from him. Just leaves Shiro in the 1v3, but he's good for 2 already.
Yeah, it's that second short player, though, they never knew about. Oh, he rushes that one, mate. He rushes that shot, and now Shiro's aware. That was like your golden ticket to win the round. Now he's still in a rough spot and just getting rushed down by Floppy. Yeah, if one thing is consistent, it's that this guy's not really going to respect you in those situations there. You know, never even worries. What if that was a tap? He just swings right away, knowing the time is low, knowing that Shiro needs a bomb plant to really make anything happen. And he helps get that one over the line. I'm really liking what we're getting out of Fang here, right? Been very proactive down towards ramp, getting a lot more impact than we really had out of him back on Ancient. I think this is, one that for these guys back on their individual, like respective rosters, they're a little more tenured on for the most part. So I like that they're standing the test of time here versus a Gambit T side. A lot of teams have tried and failed this, and Complexity are giving them a run for their money.
Absolutely. I love what I'm seeing out of Grim, too. He's taking the fights that it looks like he wants to take. So often was he almost neutered on the Liquid roster. Just seems like he had a hesitation to his game that you didn't really see before, but especially when he's playing for Triumph. And now it does seem like he's building up a little bit of that confidence back, the one that so many of us knew gave any team that he should be joining an X factor. Junior, he switched up his position once again, playing towards middle. Gambit are sort of stumped right now. They don't have any utility to work with, just a few flashes, a molly. This is not the position that Gambit are usually in. They don't have too much to go with. And Junior, the dry peek does not connect with the shot.
He's called for some help, right? Grim's moved over to play up here in construction. Axel's be lurking, his ability to take fights here, and oftentimes alone and dry and still get away with success is pretty terrifying. So, now that he's got teammates to support him, now that they're gearing for this mid to B split, is this going to be an answer for Gambit? Grim gets out of there with 1. He is getting hounded down. They're right behind him. Grim converts the spray, but in the meantime, they're up through B ramp. Grim stays alive. He's bailed out by JT on that rotation. And that kill from JT might prove to be massive because Grim goes on a tear. JT's going to lock it in. It's the hat trick from Grim. That final kill stolen away. But yeah, I mean, no fault in that round, right? These mid-to-Bs can feel extremely punishing, especially when the actual entries up through ramp, the two-player component for Gambit, found their kills flawlessly. It went completely untraded on the ramp push.
Yeah, that was just a great juggling job by Graham, actually. I mean, the kills towards middle, tucking behind the generator, recognizing that the next player going over construction already fell, then pivoting instantly around the gen on top of that. Very well done by Graham. In a chaotic situation, he's able to keep himself alive, so exercises some self-preservation and gets the kills on top of that. You cannot ask anything more from him in a spot such as that. So finally, Gambit in kind of a interesting position where, once again, they don't have great utility, but they have excellent firepower. So we'll see if they're able to accomplish anything towards ramp. But Fang has been a huge, huge thorn in their side. And Junior, nice flick down on Anafany. That was a toughie for him. He will find the opener. Anafany, man, he's been having a really rough time at this ramp. It feels like he's always the one that's somehow getting the short end of the stick.
It's grinded to this halt again. Difference is this time, you know, usually when you've gotten this, if you're Gambit, you're at least in a 4-on-4. You've at least got that to hold on to. Once again, like, utility is a bit of a concern. It was at the start of the round. It's only gotten worse with the death of Anafany. They do still have Axel holding outside of B, but like with 45 seconds left, either you're going to go back and join him or you're not. And at some point, you might have to make his way over. Still waiting to see if anything presents itself. And Junior looks like he wants to get involved. That is a nice flash, right? When utility is this limited, you need to make every piece count. So setting yourselves up in the 4-on-4. 25 seconds. They're going to drop down, grab the bomb. This is the A commitment at this point. You don't have time to go back to B. And with Axel dead, that's not even an option. Shiro makes it across to the sandbags. There's like an impromptu wall of smokes dropped in. Fang with the AWP on short. Does have to worry about Shiro moving up the ramp side, and he knows that. Oh, awkward timing on the nade pull. And so Grim might have been boosted here earlier. Wants to deny the plant, but he can't. JT, the man with health alongside him. Grim, that's flawless with the opener. And now 1v1 enters. Can't get it over the line. Grim comes in clutch when it matters most. Might have been 3 health the entire damn time, but he still wins it out. An 8 on the board now for Complexity.
That is a massive win for Graham, and you can see that his confidence right now is soaring compared to when he was on Liquid. In these sort of situations, sometimes he had to retake the A side, and there was hesitations, there was second-guessing his movements, but you could just see these full committals in his swings. It's a completely different... The in-game body language for Grim is different in this game than what I saw for Liquid. I can say that for absolute certain. There is a different man sitting in that chair right now, and one thing I'll say, on top of that, he grew his beard out. Over the time with Liquid.
He did.
He is,
and it suits him, man. It really does.
It does. I'm loving it. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Grim in this game. And Complexity, they're really, really testing Gambit. Finally, though, Anafany makes something happen on the ramp for himself. That's his 2nd kill of the game.
Yeah, that must feel nice, right? Finally breaking your silent streak, finally getting a bit of revenge. JT knocked out on the attempt at the smoke spam, and now the rest of Gambit are moving in to take ramp away on the back of this. There's a double little crossfire here, and Grim don't need no help, bro. He's fighting everyone single-handedly. In with the triple. Fang still fighting over this one-way. Doesn't even really need to, mate. You can just back up and play the 3v2 at this point, but the confidence is just brimming for Complexity. Gambit are going to be sent back into a last-ditch attempt at the B site. Floppy here and will get domed immediately. Anafany, that is a huge opener to have found. It suddenly created all this space when you were lacking anything just moments ago. Double flanking. Gambit are very cognizant that they don't have this stairs control. They haven't for a while, and the ramp was given up pretty early on. So they're aware this little flank towards B could come in. Now, as to whether or not they're ready for 2, we'll have to wait and see. Junior and Fang move in together.
This is a very unusual post plan, and Fang gets the better of Axile. Now Anafany with just 21 HP. He's right around the generator. He hasn't even changed his position just yet. Perfect headshot on a Fang, but does he expect the second? Junior's right there, and Anafany takes him down as well. What a huge clutch from him.
Yo, okay, Anthony's here to play all of a sudden, mate. This guy had 1 in 10 coming into the round. Thus far, feels like he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn door, and suddenly, when it matters most, mate, comes into his own. I love the read as well. Like, at first, you're dead on, right? He's stuck at gens, doesn't know the whereabouts of that second man, just knows about Fang at ramp, but the realization sets in so fast. He walks around generators, he's like, look, I haven't been shot in the back. At this point, it has to be a second man down through ramp.
I can't believe he maintains his composure in that fall. Oh man, Inters, this is just so fast-paced. They don't expect this at all. JT takes him down, but this is already round done and dusted. Just to go back to that clutch though with Nafany, he messed up the jump onto the pallets right there. He probably thought he was going to land on top of it, but his crosshair placement still remained perfect even when he landed. That's just one of those moments where the composure is there for this guy right now, even though he was down in the hole. The fact that he started that round with 2 kills and yet was still able to come up with that huge clutch, the opener and the final 2. I mean, that's something that's a championship mentality right there.
Yeah, right. I mean, that is the one thing about Gambit. Like, you can never count these guys out, right? I'm very, very hesitant to ever believe a game is so far gone that this Gambit squad can't dig deep and come back into it. You know, only team that I think has ever demonstrated more staying power in that regard, maybe like a VP, because those guys love a long, drawn-out comeback. But, dude, no, I mean, it's really nice to see. I was getting a bit worried about Nafany, I'll be honest, like, because Ancient as well looked like a bit of a struggle for him. A lot of kind of similar situations where he would just be the guy getting ruined on these attempts to, you know, get up the B ramp, get out through mid, you know, you name it. It just felt like nothing was going his way. But hopefully that little 4K activates him, and I think, you know, if Call is still able to bring the heat, it's only going to lend more credit to them if everyone for Gambit's having a good day.
Yeah. Pause comes out from Gambit, surprisingly, though. And Complexity don't have anything to work with in this round. This has been a game where it's felt like Gambit have been so close a couple of times, but now they're finally putting the pieces together. And there's still a chance for them to really come back into this half. If this can be 8-7, I think Complexity are going to feel pretty bad about the result because they started off so hot on map number 2. On Gambit's map pick, Complexity were looking this good. But they have stirred up, they may have awoken the beast.
Something that you mentioned on Ancient as well about, like, oh, this is the bomb here. Okay, it still should be fine. I'll revisit that point in just a moment. This molly is about to ruin your day, Floppy. Grim dies shortly after. What I was going to say is, you know, you mentioned how Floppy doesn't mind taking the roles that essentially maybe no one else wants. It feels like that's kind of what he's lent into here on Vertigo, right? You'll know over towards that B site a lot of the time. I don't really think any B-site player heavily enjoys that position, right? Because your game, it's a bit like Dust in a way, but with more room to get screwed. It's like you're sat there, and for 10 rounds and a half, no one even comes to you. And then for the 3 or 4 rounds that they do, it's a mid-split, or it's 5-up ramp, or you get like triple naded in whatever your position. Yeah, exactly, right?
There's so many tricks to try to take that player out on top of that. Yeah, it's a really rough role for him. You can see that it's not working out for him too well, but might have an important fight right here. Fang brings it back. He rolls back the rounds, and what was happening for the first 10, he's able to accomplish once again. It goes 1-0. Takes down Nafany, who's really popped off, but Hobbit off of that boost. Finds Grim, tit for tat, and now Gambit have evened things up.
Yeah, I like that we're seeing a bit more attention for Gambit in middle, right? I almost wonder if that round from Inters, you remember the one where he just runs crazy, Mach 10, like only up against pistols admittedly, but you could tell Complexity really weren't ready for a mid play. I mean, it's been a lot of these ramp walks so far. And so Gambit giving a bit more attention to mid, making Complexity have to spread the forces just a little thinner across the map. And oh, you've been sacrificed there, Floppy. Fang peeking it late. Hobbit even cutting down the mid rotations, and Fang is now responsible not just for this B site, but partly for middle if Junior misses a beat. Luckily enough, he's good for the kill to Hobbit, and we're left in this 1v1. It's Orp versus Orpa. Shiro's on the rifle. And this guy, so good in clutches, Junior. Gonna get given another chance here, but Shiro's got his number trapped in at CT. Oh. Junior still wins the fight. And with Shiro knocked out, it's 9 on the board for Complexity. Something that Hugo loves to talk about. I'm sure you remember that guy, my ex-lover, Hugo Byron. He
Rest his soul.
He always,
May he rest
he
in
always
peace.
says that, like, fighting from default, anyone trying to accomplish, it's such a rough spot to be in, right? And he loves to draw attention to that fact. I think Shiro maybe knew that he's in a bit of a screwed spot there, right? You're forced to take engagements. There's no option to play for time. And so it's kind of happening on Junior's terms. He needed a Nafany-esque bit of composure to just nail the opening shot. And the moment that doesn't come through, Junior hits a wonderful little reaction onto default.
Yeah, there's just so many little pieces of cover that anybody approaching a default player has to work with. The generator, even just some of the angles, it's not too favorable for that guy. But this is a chance for Complexity to secure double digits in the first half. I think many people would have thought this unthinkable, but Nafany, oh man, this is so cheeky. He's getting so aggressive. Junior does find the return, but he is up against quite a few players, and stereo frags for Hobbit and Interns means that this is a 4-on-2, and man, Gambit, they're just pressing on forward. No respect in this round, it seems.
Yeah, and Floppy, mate, as is the life of the Bianca, left in a 1v4 with the Famis. You really don't fancy his odds, but it doesn't take a genius to work that out. He's got a 1v3 in the sight if you were looking for silver linings. However, if you're looking for the ugly side of that, it's that he's getting mid-flanked by Axile as he sets up. So, yeah, Gambit aren't really leaving much to chance here, and this should look to be the 6-9 half after all. You know, you said if it finished 8-7, Cole would probably feel a little devastated. How do you reckon they're looking at a 9-6?
This is a little bit frightening. Gambit obviously came back into this one. They found their mojo. A lot of those just heavy ramp presences ended up working out in their favor. And I think that at first, Gambit, they wanted to go for a more multi-dimensional approach. They wanted to try some of those 1-1-3 sort of defaults. But after the one-for-ones kept happening to them at ramp, they just started sending 4, even sending 5 sometimes. And those sort of positions that they found themselves in, the 4-on-4s, those ended up being converted more times than not.
A lot of utility here for a T-side pistol. And I like that, you know, if the plan was always... Oh, they're going to try and use Gambit's own little short smoke against him, peeking over the top. Yeah, I think Nafany's seen that one before, Bud. Grim getting closer. Already up the short side. And even though you've heard these footsteps, still don't know numbers, still haven't seen bodies yet. But I like it, you know, if you're going to play into A, if you know that's the game plan from the get-go, make sure you have those wall smokes. And maybe that comes in clutch for Complexity here. They've got ramp control, haven't been contested too heavily in getting it. I will say the triple wall setup from Gambit is lovely to fight ahead of these smokes. It can work to nullify them if you find the openers. And I tell you who will, Fang and Floppy, mate. That double press F to pay respects duo on the aggro push up the short side. Inters and Axel, no denying this is a rough spot to find yourself in, and Floppy is fighting them every step of the way. I am glad we get this guy on the T side now. Seeing him anchor B, it made me a little upset, but now the fights are happening on Floppy's terms.
Yes, yes, and you can see that Gambit, they sort of forced themselves into a situation where Floppy could just have his way with them. The fact that they had to play in front of the smokes is something that was by design. The fact that they didn't have a kit meant that they really didn't favor their chances in a retake sort of situation. They knew that they had to take that fight then and there. They hoped that it would catch off Complexity by surprise, but after the first one, I mean, everything, it was a slew of frags between, as you put it, the double effers.
Yeah, I bet that's what Gambit are referring to him as well, right? Or maybe like mother effers in this instance. It's been really nice, though, for Complexity. Another pistol round going their way. And that can lead to them picking up some momentum here on this T side. They throw that smoke, blocking off vision from a player at the sandbags, forcing him to go for that wide swing. But mate, if you can direct the CT's movements, then you can predict them as well. So someone's going to be keeping an eye on the right side of this smoke as they push up.
You can see JT once again. He wants to scale on forward first. He wasn't having too much success with those openers on Ancient, but things are made a lot easier when you're up against a pistol. Now, Nafany still holding his own. But look how close Gambit are. It looks like they want to strike any second right now. The flash is there, but the return is ready. JT, he turns from the flash, hits the headshot on top of it, but Nafany still lies in wait, and that could be a problem as he takes down Fang already. And now Inters is pressed on forward on the crane. I'm not sure if Complexity are going to expect this angle, as there are, in fact, 2 players so close still. But JT, he just jumps around the corner. works as the selfless entry fragger. But things are still getting a little hectic up by the site.
Yeah, it's getting awkward now, right? You were feeling good early on when JT gets the double opener. Now it's grinded to a bit of an awkward halt. There's utility on Floppy, but you don't want to get caught with nades out here. They're just going to play it together, play this trade game. Oh, lovely shot. Floppy leaves it all on Axel. Going to come up, going to go over. Flopster's bested. There's the double. Axel with the clutch. Just leaves himself tucked in long enough. Peeks out right at the end, right as that bomb plant's coming in. Knows he's got a 1v1 in that exact moment. And manages to close it out for Gambit. The force spike going their way.
The foresight on Axel there needs to be respected. He knew exactly where those players' positions were prior to him jumping up. That is something that comes when you're a top 5 player via the HLTV top 20. I mean, that's something that really is so unlikely for him to know exactly which kill to get first and then to swing around and spin to get the bomb planter on top of that. That's a little bit of thievery coming out from Axel right there. Props to him for that 1v2 because that was supposed to be Complexity's round every day of the week for the beginning of it. That was looking and shaping up so well for them. Now Nafany, he wants to contest this ramp. This is his home. He loves just fighting around all these smokes. Grim suspects something, but Nafany, wow, he just has a sixth sense with it, doesn't he? Takes down Grim. Axel's able to chime in with one of his own, and now all 3 players from Complexity, they're reconsidering all the decisions that got them into this position.
God, yeah, they're still pressing forward with this attempt to get up the short side. Into the triple hold. You don't even know about this Sandbags player yet in Shiro, who's just lying in wait as that nasty surprise. You know, even if you get into the A site with no molly to clear this, you've got to do it manual mode. And you don't want to go walking up the ledge at this point in time. So Shiro's just going to be allowed to sit here till the exact moment he wants or needs to take a fight. And well, there he is swinging out while Hobbit mows down the short plate. That's Gambit over onto 8 now. And a little eco looming for Complexity. Maybe a chance to talk about how they want to approach this next round. Try get on the same page, because you don't want this Gambit war machine to start churning, to start coming alive.
Nafany is simply one of the best players at just weaving around utility at ramp, and he's going to be a problem moving forward. So there is maybe a chance or an idea for Complexity to think about going elsewhere. That was a crazy
nade damage, bro.
Yeah.
That was so much red. Sorry, it kind of caught me off guard. Oh, and they close it with one as well.
Not bad. UD is going to be going crazy after that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's, you know, great for the stats page. Everyone loves a bit of UD, bit of easy UD. And yeah, you know, maybe you missed the boat on catching Nafany while he was sleepy. Like, remember, this guy's scoreline was 1-10.
Yes.
Now it's 13-15. That means he's gone 12-5 in the last, what, like 5 rounds of play? More than that, 6 rounds. Still, absolutely mental scenes for him. A road to recovery for Nafany. Will that be the demise of Complexity? They're fast up ramp, getting around the short player at least. However, Inter's there with an MP9 and prone to doing some wild stuff every now and again. Might try and hit a bit of a timing here. Here's the push, mate. It's immediate. Gambit, are they ready for this sort of pace?
Oh, the swing.
Dear.
1 for 1, and now JT takes down Shiro. That's a huge frag to find, but that nade on top of it. Wow, Inters takes down Fang, and there's already a flank. Axel, he's moving up the ramp right now. He might catch these players on a timing, takes down Junior. Now it's all up to JT. Nade lands right on him. I think he spotted him.
Oh yeah, no, Axel looks so aware, man. Tap on the bomb, knows he could have gone CT. JT, 200 ping king, here he is, tucked in, waiting, trying to win this one around the timer.
Oh, wow.
Trying to force Axel to get uncomfortable. JT, hands off the keyboard at this point, mate. And Axel is hunting him down, is looking for this man on the pre-fire. Axel's gonna find it. And I mean, you know, it's sad that it's JT, the last guy left alive there. If it comes to hitting a reaction shot, that's where he's screwed, right? That's where, and now you can relate to this, that's where the high ping's gonna get you.
It's a losing battle to hold still when you have 150 plus ping. It is simply a losing battle. Axile did do a great job of deduction there, I will say. He understood the possibilities for JT's location. He cleared them out methodically, and so he deserved that in that sense. And you can't take anything away from Axile. He, with that flank, had the timing, made it a 1v1 by getting Junior down, and at that point, it's not that JT did anything particularly wrong. It's just that he's in a poor situation where when it comes down to a 50-50 like that at the very end, ping's always gonna hurt him. But that's a big victory. Nice double hold middle from these two Gambit players. Inters and Hobbit connect. Feng has acquired this opening position very early on, and he's already found a kill too. But it does mean that this is going to be a fairly obvious attack from the Complexity side.
Oh, they're not ready for Hobbit. They have managed to trade him, but this is where the nades can feel so punishing. Doesn't find too much damage. Floppy makes it into the site with the bomb and then is pretty keen to leap out of there. I think he's still worried about more utility coming down the pipeline. 50 seconds, right? You still got time to play with. However, Gambit are pretty good at not giving these away, right? No one's super keen to fight. Shiro scoped up on short. Wonder if that could lead to some misinfo. The elbow's spotted by Fang, and he's going to deal with the AWP. Inters at 1 point of health, and another tap on the bomb. That's him dead. Floppy will get traded after the first, leaving it in this clutch. But Fang has been the player to watch, and there he is, swinging out to close it. 11 on the board for Colt. They're not ready to give this lead over yet.
You gotta love the confidence from Floppy and Fang right there. They both go for the same play back to back. The fake tap, the swing, works out for both of them, one after the other. Consecutive frags. And yeah, that was looking like a standstill that Gambit would get the better of, but then Shiro, he decides to jump off triple right there. And that's a fatal mistake in this situation. You never knows if they could have fallen back, if he might need to rotate, but it gave Fang just enough in order to make that an even 2v2. And it does look like we might be getting a bit of a tech pause right here. Seems like we'll need a round restart of sorts. A lot of typing in the game right now. Yeah, that's a mega victory for the side of Complexity to break free once the score is tied up in their favor.
So here's something. Oh, and actually, well, so it's one of the Gambit guys to have dropped out. I wondered if it was going to be like JT having some like ping-related problem, but nah, mate, Gambit out of there. We're just going to get that restarted, bring them back in. But so Blame F's Complexity never managed to best Gambit on this map. Now, we're still a ways away from this Complexity managing to do it, but it's definitely a possibility, and I think that would be pretty interesting, right? This idea that this Blame F-led squad that was meant to be, you know, the kind of defining chapter for the Complexity organization, right, was meant to be their Juggernaut or Colossus. I always forget which way round it is now that they've been used so many. It was the Juggernaut, right? Yeah, the Colossus was the one that came later. We don't talk about that.
We don't have to.
But they were never able to take Gambit down on this map. Obviously, it is a bit of a Gambit classic. That's kind of making me feel even more appreciative of just the kind of scoreline that we're seeing, the limits that we're seeing Gambit push to by a Complexity that I just want to remind everyone again, playing with a 200 ping JT. Like this is
their first match as a 5-man unit. This is their first official.
It's very impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, this is if I'm not mistaken, this is how the tournament was seeded. Gambit would have had the highest seed going into it. Complexity would have had probably the lowest, if not were picked by Gambit to be faced off against. And so this is a matchup that Complexity on paper should never really even be competitive in, if we're being completely honest. But yeah, they are absolutely pushing Gambit. Gambit is sweating. They're shook in some situations. It still feels like they should be in control, as they do have a gun round right here, but they are absolutely beginning to respect this roster. Oh.
See, that's it's a nice spot for Axel, but it's so early in the round, you know, knowing that there is someone B doesn't carry a tremendous amount of weight, and the nade's not really done a lot. It is going to soften up these players for the AKs, but the real victors there looking like Complexity. They brought Axel down low. definitely a guy who, if you're able to force a bit of respect out of, and just make him get away with far less, he can't get away with any of these audacious plays we're used to seeing out of the guy. I say audacious, normally like pretty respectful Bianca, but I mean, you know what Axar's like, man. This guy, he's straight up gnarly. Little B pop, change of pace for Colt. Over the top goes Inters, melting the first two. Does get burnt out by the molly, but that's the only success story so far. Grim, good for this double. Junior set up at Tetris, but that bomb's out in the open. And getting it back is pretty scary for Grimothy. He's been Molotov'd forward, playing around the generator smoke now. Might feel the need to take a fight here as Junior closes in to try and get this bomb. Not going to get it planted. They don't know if there's a player at ramp. Grim will spot one, and Junior finds himself another. Him v Shiro again, and it's a repeat of that last time we saw them go head-to-head when the sides were flipped. Only this time, Shiro's the guy to close it out.
Yeah, the spots are flipped that time, and you can see that the advantage lies with the player that's not sitting on default right there. Of course, it's a solid trade frag from Shiro, but otherwise, this was a nice switch up from Complexity. It's a little bit of a shame that they weren't able to put it all together and come out with the victory, but finally they're trying something away from Nafany and his deadly A-ramp presence. So this was the one mix-up that Complexity had in store for us. See if they have any more moving forward, but Gambit, they're able to put all the pieces together. Great site defense from them. Axile pushes on forward. That caught Floppy off guard. He had no idea that that was coming, and we've seen this before. The stack from Hobbit and Inters. Last time, they went 2-0. We'll see if that changes for Complexity or if they're even interested. Wow, they seem to back off. And man, Axile is being a nuisance in this round. This guy is pressed all the way forward.
Yeah, I mean, he's very in your face, right? Oh, only good for the double, but once again, right, gets the info this time with 2 kills to his name. And yeah, it gives them a tiny window where they can get deeper on B. The flash is real good to get Inters away. You're hoping that Gambit rotate in and regain control, but the Tech 9 now upgraded onto the M4. Shiro will rein it in just a little bit. And leaves it all on Junior once again. This time, though, doesn't have the AWP by his side. He's UMP till the end. Now that he's been spotted, they've got him trapped. The nade's going to whittle him down and finish him off. And so Gambit launched that successful retake. Good damage found for Complexity. Bomb plant's going to help them bring out everything they need in this follow-up round. They can get the AWP on Junior, full utility behind it. But Gambit, this is now a bit of a changing of the guard almost. They're the ones in the lead. They're the ones trying to get this over the line. And with a map already under their belt, this could be their path to a 2-0.
Certainly looks like it. They seem to have a strong grasp of the defense here. They're doing just an excellent job in denying most of the space from Complexity. And when the situation does get tough and they have to play on the site, play a little bit of retake, they are still very much so in control. There's a reason they picked this map. That just needs to be said. They are simply so well versed in so many different situations. But once again, Complexity, they get some early control, but Nafany, again, comes up big with the goods. Inters from the skyline is able to take another down, and Grim, he still wants a fight right here, but it's feeling like Complexity are just looking to brawl. They need a fight. They need a way in, because when these situations break down in the more tactical style, they might feel a little bit outclassed at this point.
Another thing I'm nervous about here, Gambit, loads of utility to delay a bomb plant, to whittle down these players. Might not ever be needed with Hobbit landing these smoke shots, and they even spot the head of Floppy. God, yeah, hanging around there and re-peeking it for like a 3rd time. That's a little overzealous. And that ends up being a pretty clean round for Gambit after all. Honestly, there wasn't really a lot of chance for Cole there, right? The wall of smokes was in. That was all their util expended. There were still 2 mollies in play, a nade as well. You could have just played that to time if you were Gambit. If anything, I think it's a bit of a show of force, a show of confidence that they're so willing to take those fights in the 4-on-2.
Yeah, and you can tell that Gambit, they've certainly hit their stride once they really showed off what they could do in that round. Just everybody hits their shots. All their pre-aims are perfect. I think that just shows that at this point, Complexity is in the palm of their hands. They're just slowly tightening their grip on them. There's not too much that Complexity seems to be able to throw out at this point that will catch Gambit off guard. Everything seems to have been tried by now. Nafany has been the most consistent player for me in this half. Every single time this guy is contested at ramp, he's coming up with 1-2 frags, at least providing information for his team. This guy, like you said earlier, I mean, he was on a 1-10 scoreline. He's 17-18 now. He's dominated his position.
Yeah, he's just right up there in with the rest of them. And you might look at that and be like, oh, he's just having a run-of-the-mill game. But it's like, no, when you actually look at what he had to come back from, it's so impressive that he's found himself level pegging with the rest of the team. The flash work is always good to get these early fights. Oh, Shiro caught with nades out. And, you know, if there's one thing to be said about Complexity, it's that they want gunfights. They want to chase you down. They want to catch you with util out. Hobbit playing this top side box. I do not know how he gets out, and his nade has devastated them on the push. This is lovely from Hobbit. No idea how he gets away with a double and lives to tell the tale from that position.
There definitely seemed to be some support behind him in probably a player a triple, but either way, I mean, Complexity they're just trying to force themselves into this site at this point. They have run out of too many ideas, and you know, they've slowed it down before and come up big. Ooh. And Junior, oh, that might have been the opportunity. Okay, no, not quite. The nade sails in, takes him down to 6. He has a chance to reset this round, and it does look like he'll opt for that.
Okay, he's going to try and get fancy with it, going to try and get tricky with it. The 2 kills he already has to his name, pretty quick. But he's going to have to be even faster if he wants to close this one out. Gambit giving a lot of respect on the A site, and they don't hear him rotate away. With so much time left, he had enough time to sneak the entire way over the bridge. Eventually, that penny's going to drop, but Gambit just want to stay together at this point. They know he has that AWP in play, and so they don't want to give him the 1v1s. They're going to move in through middle together. Junior trying to have his moment, trying to have his time in the limelight, but Gambit will not make it easy. Molly on Axile, and just a little short of Tetris. Denying him an angle at ramp, but that's not where Junior sits right now. Waiting patiently, and there's the swing coming through. Hobbit's the man to close. He was the one who started up on top of default, finishes it off with the 4K. And Junior's clutch attempt, as nice as those first 2 shots were, is denied.
It does feel like Gambit has a complete read over Complexity at this point. Nothing is really breaking through right now. It does seem like it's coming down to heroics. This angle from Hobbit really did so much for him. I'm a little bit shocked too. I saw the nade fly in. I thought that maybe there was a person shooting from behind, but that angle right there, I usually call it the Akinder angle. That's usually where he falls back to anytime he gets pressured off of the A ramp, and it just always seems to work. It's just such a cheeky off angle. People aren't going to pre-aim it all too often, and we see right there how successful it can be. Now, Inters this time is joined by Hobbit once again. This mid-hold has been devastating for Complexity, but Hobbit wants to see if he can find some early information and is punished for that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, outside of like I think it was really 2 rounds, we haven't really seen too much of Complexity in middle, so I wonder if Hobbit is just trying to get ahead of these A plays, and in doing so, he's given over this early frag. Setting Complexity up in a 5-on-4. You know, for a team that really hinge around getting these openers, it feels like, getting these ways to kind of kick the door in of a bomb site, giving them a 5-on-4 could be a bit of an error. Can the rest of Gambit hold on? That's a nice swing from Shiro. Lovely kind of bait and switch setup, but Fang wow. Immediately going to reply with 2 of his own. And that's the A site open for business now. That's
a disgusting double entry from Fang. There should be a path into the site. Doesn't even seem like there's too much Gambit could do at this point. The spam is there. That is a lot of damage coming out from Inters. I don't want to speak too soon on this one. He's going to be looking for more. What? Okay. They're not even seeing the players from Complexity, but they're predicting all of their moves. This becomes entirely doable, but Junior shuts it down. Takes down Inters. And Axile, there's still an opportunity for him here. Would have loved to find that spam. Reading the movement of Junior, but he misses the shot. That got too close for comfort if you are Complexity.
Dude, yeah, I mean, Complexity might get it over the line, but for me, the most interesting part there is, like you say, like watching this this Gambit squad and why they are so terrifying on Vertigo. Like, they knew the procedures, they knew the pathing, they knew what was about to come their way. Yeah, I mean, you kind of said earlier on, it feels like Gambit are getting a read on the game. They might not win that round, but it's clear the reads are there, right? They have a very clear understanding of how Complexity like to play and the tricks they might like to try and pull. I don't imagine we see too much more aggression from middle ever, right? That kind of rolled out the red carpet for Complexity. They haven't been given many free openers, and the ramp hold still held its own, right? Shiro had that bait and switch set up with Nafany, worked wonders to get the opener. The Cols stay alive for now.
All right, another opener for Complexity. Floppy reads the angle from Axile. I mean, one B anchored to the other, and even though Axile does hit the headshot, Floppy finds one in return. Superior weapon, though. Now, Nafany, man, he has been just devastating to Complexity's chances anytime they approach ramp, and he might get the better of them here. Only finds one. That's an excellent trade from Junior. It's a needed one to keep the man advantage. Gambit, they might have a false read on this right now. They might think that it could be A, but no, they actually just keep 2 players B. This is some great foresight coming out from Gambit, and Shiro always holding the line.
Ooh, that's an uncharacteristic miss. Oh, Inters with the lineup. That could be devastating. Hobbit was already rotating over, by the way, this entire time. Inters is SMG. It's lit them up, and Hobbit is the guy you want in these clutches. Tucked in at the back of default. One man crossing, and that's where Hobbit finds him, but Junior does not let the round get away. Complexity coming with a 13th, keeping this competitive, and now breaking the money of Gambit. Woo, boy!
If anybody had doubts about this Complexity roster, I mean, they're not over the hill just yet, but they have pushed one of the best teams in the world on their map picked to an incredibly competitive map. I mean, this is a really great sight. If you were even just a fan of North America, a fan of any of these players, to see them have a chance to tie things up, to push Gambit to a likely 30-round map it's excellent.
Yeah, I mean, this one should be guaranteed, right? I mean, I've seen USP rounds get out of hand, but on the back of an all-in mid-play, you've heard the footsteps, you know what's happening. That bomb should just be getting out of there. Grim, it's a chance to farm some kills. This is 14-14, and in getting it to this point, they've already met the standard set by the Complexity of old. This was the most rounds they were ever able to put up against Gambit on this map. So that's certainly not a bad first outing. But they want more than just the same as what came before, right? They want a victory here. They want to try and take us to a 3rd map, make this a 3-map series after all. Obviously, this one just sailing by is the anti-eco. Next is the real test. But I tell you what, if they win that, right, the downside with this CT money is like once your back's against the wall, the only way to get away from it is to win a round, and to win a round cleanly. If Complexity steal away 15, they should be winning this map.
This is 14-14. Nobody coming into this would have thought this game would have been this close. Nobody in their right minds, that is. So this is a chance for Complexity here. They have everything they could have wanted, save maybe a Galil on JT. But other than that, it's Gambit, like you said, with their backs against the wall. They don't even have full utility either. Look at this. Shiro only has 1 grenade. They don't even have a kit either. If this bomb goes down, this is going to be a very tough situation for Gambit to fight their way through.
Pressure's on Gambit more so. And dude, JT gets the opener. Of all people. The 200 ping king swipes again. Fang even holding for this aggression out of Nafany. Dude, he looks so aware of this possibility. This
Huge 1v1.
If he wins this could be the round. This could be it. And Fang, oh man, 5-on-3. Cole moving up ramp. Shiro's going to try and change the tide, and he even spots that AWP on Junior. At this point, they're just playing a numbers game, right? They attempt the trade once. You're not going to go back for that. Junior just groups for the B play. Now, there should be an early rotation. Shiro has actually pushed the extremities of ramp immediately, so they know it's B. They know this bomb's moving in, but they have to win the fights, and they only get one. Shiro, 1 versus 3, and with your money on the line, you would love this AWP in the follow-up round. As long as they don't give him any reason to go for this, this should be 15 for Cole, and there it is, the save called in.
This is unreal. This is unbelievable. JT, I don't know how JT got that opener, but that delivered them this round. Fang on top of that to find one of his own. I'm getting chills right now, Harry. I'm getting some chills. This is unheard of. This is so shocking where this game is headed. You could see, though, in that brief moment after Shiro found that first kill, he wanted more. He wanted everything. That's the bloodlust instinct that I would want to see from an opper of Shiro's caliber. A lot of people in the previous year questioned where it was, if it were even always there. We got a little glimpse of it there, but we need more. Because this is a hero AWP at this point. This needs to deliver for Gambit, or they will be on the receiving end of a gigantic upset. There has already been some upsets here at Funspark. There's already been some, you know, some pretty 55, 45, 60, 40. But this map right here, I think most would have put it down to 90 to 10 at that, if even that. This is a game that nobody thought Complexity had any business winning. But they've set themselves up in a prime position to steal it from Gambit.
Oh, I don't believe it, Maui. I'm kind of lost for words. You know, like, I think when the announcement came out, when JT said, like, guys, I couldn't secure the visa. Truth is, I'm going to be playing on 200 ping. I think a lot of people just went, oh, well, that's disappointing. And they're probably screwed. They're starting versus Gambit. Like you say, no one could have predicted this. All right, it's not over yet. 15-14, Gambit, they've still got that hero AWP. They've also got an M4 on Hobbit. You can't count them out in a round like this. Nothing's impossible when you're this Gambit squad, and they find the opener off the M4. Shiro lights out as well. And it gets real awkward now for Complexity. This was the easiest chance you were going to have to close this map out in your favor. If it goes to overtime and that clock starts again, it's suddenly a very different beast. So for Junior and Floppy, 2 versus 5. Needless to say, the odds heavily stacked against them here. How on earth are they meant to try and navigate this? Gambit might have managed to hold on with a mishmash buy with that saved AWP finding one. They might have just kept their heads above water.
It's a slow approach. And Shiro's still holding the line at short right now. There's a player also tucked into the railing at triple. So it's a minefield that Complexity are going to have to navigate through. Good nade damage from Floppy, but still so far away from finding anything. Junior tagged down to 30, doesn't quite spot the player. That might be the win condition for Gambit in this round. Nafty takes him down, Hobbit activates, and it's 15-15. Gambit weather the storm, and they're able to bring it to OT.
Yeah, I mean, like we all expected, right? I mean, overtime on this one, yeah. Everyone was saying, yeah, that's got a good chance to go OT. Props to Hobbit. You know, I love that he just gets stuck in with the M4. You know, you've seen some mid leans out of him in the past, right? It just abandons that entirely. He goes, look, we're anticipating the fast A play. I also think you got to give credit to Nafany there, right? Having that idea that this might come through, because it's been pretty measured in these last few rounds for Complexity over at ramp. They were ready for that pace change. Run boost, all right. You wouldn't have seen this in round 30, but in overtime, the options get a little more varied, a little more exciting, as you're not so worried early on about making a little mistake or two. You gotta take risks, and risks are just mistakes in disguise. Here we go, Floppy creeping up. Ooh, it's JT to actually get the opener, and he's even running down the man at the generator.
Yeah, but Inters survives, makes it out. And there's a lot of pressure on him. Nades in his direction. Floppy takes him down with the Molotov. Now Nafany tries to press on over. It takes down 2. Those are huge frags for him, but his teammate fell at the same time, and Floppy just runs all over this B bomb side. He was having a tough time on that CT side defending this, but when it comes to taking it, he's doing a fantastic job. And for complexity there, they saved that for this. They didn't do the run boost a single time in regulation.
Right.
The question has to be asked for just a moment, though. Could that have sent them over the edge? Could that have been the round that secured it in regulation?
Oh, no, you're not allowed to think like that. That's like looking through the crypto portfolio and going, "Man, if only I'd bought in 2010, you know? Like
Only invested a little more.
Oh, here we go. Look, Junior up. Looking at the ground, mate. He's hidden.
Wow.
Is he hidden? He's
this,
not. He's
that's
not
a
hidden.
thing.
I didn't think that was a thing.
That's not a thing. That's a little bit. That was ambitious.
Ambitious, yeah.
That's one of those moments where you're just closing your eyes. You're doing the ostrich head in the sand, just hoping danger cannot see you if you cannot see it. I'm not sure if I've ever seen that attempted, but maybe he thought there was a smoke. Either way, it's an opener for Gambit. Nafany, I mean, he's been such a menace on ramp that could have been the result regardless.
Oh, this Molly.
Yeah.
Gonna force Nafany forward, but he responds with one of his own. That's a nice counterplay to this. I think they're ready to re-molly him again, only this time he drops the smoke, so he welcomes the fight.
Oh, wow.
Maybe shouldn't have. JT does get the better of him.
Oh, Grim, this is the perfect timing. He's just going to be, though.
Oh,
Axile, he turns away,
oh,
and Grim
no.
opens things up. Okay, Complexity have a chance to reroute now. Just will they get caught in the transition? And that's what I'm talking about. Shiro finds Grim, but Fang, he was waiting the whole time at short. This round is all over the place right now, and Fang is actually trying to conquer this entire A site. He's planting a flag at the top of default right now, and he catches Hobbit.
That is a crazy hero moment from Fang. Someone at the... Oh, what? Shiro! Oh, no, the bomb's now down. Floppy's having to rotate him, but JT holds the line.
That looked so doable for Shiro. He tags him through the side of the box right there. If that connected, that could have been the round because Floppy was sprinting all the way there. He had already given up his position. He knew the pressure was on JT in that moment, and yet they survive, and Complexity string the first 2 rounds of overtime together. What a lurk by Grim, though. That timing to catch Axile, a guy that just seemingly cannot be caught off guard, he catches him.
Yeah, right. And dude, you saw the margins we were working with, right? It felt like it was one of those moments where, like, if someone was dead and specking you, they would have said, "You seen him? You seen him, Con?" Like, the timing was that close, you know. Oh, man. Unreal. Unreal. I gotta say, Shiro, impeccable effort at the clutch. I don't think you could have asked for more out of a 1v3 attempt there, right? Not just enough that he rotates in, denies the B play by catching Grim, you know, who's attempting to still maintain that pressure over on construction. But then, needless to say, the no-scope through the smoke to find the incumbent Fang, the guy who made the heroic play to open up that A-bomb site. It felt like that was all the makings of like a vintage Shiro clutch, and that's where JT comes in, lags his way around the corner, and then locks in the round.
So close. So close. One that Shiro would love to run back again. But Junior, looking for something at B. Won't be presented an opportunity by Axile, who will be holding on back. Now Grim, he's going to speed up this time a little bit. He's thinking about it. He's liking what he's been finding at middle for himself. And it doesn't look like Gambit are running as heavy of a mid-presence as they have in rounds prior. So this might be a little bit of an opportunity. Junior going for the contact play, but Inters and Axile, they both connect. They go for the double swing right there. That's an excellent way to deal with a potential B prod such as that. And it looks like it's shaping up to supposedly be a B hit.
Yeah, Inter's waiting for this lurk from Grim, and he's able to control the A1S. JT on this lurk as well. An attempt at, you know, another one of these kind of looser rounds with everyone challenging all across the map. And JT has found space, besting Hobbit in the head-to-head. Now Axile's got to keep an eye on this JT. Oh, can't make it a double. Fang's gotten out through short A again and is once more trying to come in on one of these late lurks. Now they hear Floppy running up ramp. They still don't know about the silent player on short, but you could make an educated guess. Flash goes over, Shiro's taken off the angle. They get into the site, and he seems so aware about the presence of Fang, man. You saw him even kind of scoping on the angle ahead of time. Plant is now in. And Complexity probably wanted a bit more of a fight in getting A. The 2-on-3. Oh, 2-on-2. And now just Fang left alive. Playing the short angle still. Ready for this swing. The first man falls, but Shiro this time completes the clutch. And at least salvages one CT side round in OT for Gambit.
Fang and Floppy made that so much more competitive than they should have. That was a great double up from them. But Gambit are able to put it together. The opening kills from them were everything. The way that they caught Junior off on the ramp, it was so procedural. It was so just calculated. And the way that they even dealt with the Grim Lurk as well. I mean, they deserved to win that round, and they did. But now we swap over. And Complexity, I mean, they had a very solid CT side. They had 9 rounds the first time we ran through this in regulation. And so, things continue as they have trended. Complexity are in a great position for themselves, having found 2 already in the first half of OT.
That's a lovely nade out of JT. And as mentioned, mate, like at these little ramp fights, he's been just as keen to get involved as anyone else, right? Because when you are spamming smokes, at the end of the day, it's all pre-firing. It's not like anyone carries a massive advantage there. If anything, the A1S is way better than the AK, so he's having a whale of a time as long as this ramp smoke just keeps getting replenished.
Hobbit's gotten tired of Fang. Fang has positioned himself so many times there in regulation, so preemptively spams it. And no one really coming out ahead just yet. Lots of damage inflicted on both sides. So the only thing that is working against Gambit in this situation is time. It's been a minute, and they haven't found anything.
Dude, Call is still fighting for this ramp control. Oh, okay. JT realizes, yeah, I'm about to overstep the mark here. Oh, no, he doesn't. He goes back in for more. They keep it in their advantage. And right now, Junior does need to run for the hills. There's 35 seconds left. You don't want to give Gambit a way in. And you just, double flank.
Wow.
Oh, man, this is ballsy. This could.
The noose is tightening.
Oh, they've been spotted. You're not ready for a second, though, right? You spot the first. You don't expect Grim as the nasty surprise, the left hook to accompany that wrap round. That's 18 now for Complexity. Map point in their favor. Gambit need 2 more in a row to lock in another overtime.
You could see that round from Complexity, they did not want to give up ramp. In some of the rounds prior, Gambit, when they sent that majority there and back all the way in regulation in the first half, they came out ahead with those 4-on-4s, just little 1-for-1. And this time around, Complexity said, we're going to make our grave there on the ramp. But they actually turned the tides, and they made it Gambit's. They dug a nice trench for them, put their bodies in. And this time around, Gambit, they're interested in the B play. Catches Floppy off guard. Walking right through the smoke is Axile. And Floppy, he did not see that coming. Cheeky one.
Oh, dude, Grim's gotten himself tucked in. You would love to have another player here, just someone else to draw the attention away from this position. Oh, the flash is nice. It's actually a T-flash. Oh, no, it's not nice at all. Grim has locked them out of the B side. Just Shiro and Hobbit left. They hear the flank. They know that someone's coming. JT versus Hobbit, and right now it's a stalemate. Oh, man, if you get this kill, suddenly a path to rotate is open, suddenly a seed of doubt is planted in the mind of Complexity. But JT deciding to wait. Oh, and now he reaggresses. Okay, Shiro gets back on the angle, and a path to the A play is opened up like that. They run the entire damn way. Or at least Hobbit will. That bomb on the back of Shiro going quietly. Going quietly late enough to give this idea that they could still commit to B. Junior is the only man here, but he's found the opener, and now it's only Shiro left to beat. But beating this guy in a clutch, it's not easy. Him and Fang have a bit of a checkered past in these clutch situations, right? And now we get to crown the Clutch King. Fang out through CT, or Shiro in, and Fang finds it. Complexity have won this map. They've locked it in, 19-16 in overtime, and they take us to a third. They take us to Dust 2. You never would have thought we were getting here, Maui, but somehow Complexity have got it over the line.
It's the new org buff for Complexity. Never before could this lineup take them down. Never before did Complexity as an org take them down, but you change